Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me well. My name is Henry. I work with Metallogix for over 5 years as a technical support representative. And today I'm going to have a few words on archiving and getting archived to the cloud. As all of us know, cloud is becoming one of the fastest growing IT industry. Basically, all of us are or will be involved with that at some way, at some point. It will get to everyone, to us soon. Cloud has many different ways of accommodating our current IT structure, offers many ways of deployment and different scenarios. I would summarize the most basic ones, or the basic one would be the local cloud. Well, thing is, even though it's a cloud, you still can have it on your premise. This way, you have your data sort of more in safe. You have your data by hand. So if something goes wrong, you can reach your data, from the local system, local premise, rather than reaching out to the cloud. The other solution would be a hybrid solution. That's where you have part of your infrastructure is local, so you have some servers on the premise, you have some racks, you have some hardware, but still you have some space in the cloud, rented or purchased. So and you have quite and basically you can split administration responsibility to the local administrator stuff, and for the remote cloud admin. Great advantage of this solution is that you are pretty much flexible with how much or how many resources you will use at the moment from the local side, and how many resources you will use from the cloud side, and you can scale these two by the time as the need goes. You are pretty much flexible with which resources are being used. And the last one would be full cloud deployment. That means then basically all of your IT infrastructure is in cloud. You have all the servers in there, all the hardware, computing power, and is being administered by some, basically by third parties. So you don't have any or a very low administration cost for maintaining full cloud deployment. I don't want to go deeper into cloud thing and its deployment options and scenarios and details. I would rather focus on how to get your archive data to cloud, and what options you have, and what you should consider. So one of the main questions you need to answer yourself when considering going to archive, going to cloud, is first would be what email solution you want to use. So currently you have some email infrastructure, you have some software for email, and very likely it's Exchange, but definitely you can have other email solutions. So one question you need to answer: what email solution you're going to use? Is it going to be a Microsoft one, Exchange Online, or is it going to be other mail solution like Lotus and and others? So that's one question. The other one is, are we gonna archive email communication? So I assume that most of you already have some experience with archiving software, with archiving emails, and moving it to cloud. Well, yes, you have to answer. If you are archiving correctly with Metallogix, are you gonna stay with Metallogix and the cloud, or you gonna after migration to cloud, are you going to use someone else? You have an option to use the inbuilt Exchange Online archive solution, and there is a third choice. You can use some other third-party provider. So these questions you should have clear before before you start migrating or moving data to the cloud. What you need to do to get to the cloud, basically. If it comes to cloud with the Metalogix solution, you need to have an Office 365 account. And well, the Office 365 account is basically for working with the Office documentation, having Exchange Online available. I mean, the Exchange server, Exchange services. So you have sort of emailing solution, and of course there are included other services which I don't want to go deeper. And what else? You need to create an Azure account. So basically, it's a place where you define sort of infrastructure you want to maintain, or sort of configuration of the your IT structure. How many servers you're gonna have, what software they will be running, and what operating systems, how much RAM you're gonna use for those software, what would be, or what computing power you need. So these are all the details that you need to configure at some point, and start using them when once in the cloud. The most important, very important thing related to Azure is that once you have your Office 365 account, you will get the Active Directory feature available. So, it's very important when we are talking about the users, when we are talking about mailboxes and migration. You need to have Active Directory to manage those. Of course, Active Directory, that's a part of Microsoft solution, so obviously this will apply for those that are currently with Microsoft and want to stay with the Microsoft solution. So I would discuss, or I will have few words on what was the most easiest scenario, most simplest way having data in the cloud. This is sort of I would call it a hybrid archiving solution, where you store data locally. Where you store data in the cloud rather than locally. Thing is that I assume that at the moment you are using one of our archiving products, which is Archive Manager Exchange Edition or Archive Manager for Files Edition. Both of these are using store technology to store their data, or having data in safe, having data archive. The solution I'm talking about right now, that you have an option to put this store in the cloud, so you will avoid having data on your on-premise, on the on your local site, but you will have them in the cloud, and someone else will be taking care for this data, and someone else will be administering and doing sort of maybe backups, maybe some checks and these things. So you will not have to manage those data locally, and that will be sort of a relief for the admin, that he doesn't need to take care of data on the local side. As I mentioned, with this option, you have your current infrastructure on the premise. So you have your SQL Server, you have Exchange, you have maybe some other servers you need. You just put a store in the cloud, and each time user want to access email or the file, it basically or the archive server basically call the cloud, will take the file from the cloud and bring it back to the client, to the local machine, and so that would be the most easiest way of deployment cloud, or having data in cloud. I already mentioned it's a sort of a new approach, having the store in the cloud. From the archiving point of from the point of archiving software, where we didn't have that option some time ago, but we do have now. And what would be the most important or interesting things to consider, or advantages, would be that first off, there is a lower cost of administrating data. No need to have hardware, rack space, and other costs. Also, there is an enhanced virus protection and backup options, which is taken care by the cloud provider. Also, you have data accessible 24/7, and also you are giving your user option to cache the data on his own machine. So basically, he can have this data available offline. As I mentioned on the previous slide, there are four store providers, cloud providers, which support our store. These are Amazon Rackspace, Azure, and Google Drive. So that would be two easiest sort of hybrid archive solution. Uh, Moving data to the cloud. Well, this is probably the most important thing or options you have from which you can choose. So one of the most common ways how to get archive data to the cloud is using PST file. So whatever archiving solution you use today, you basically create a PST file, on your Exchange, or PST file for the user, and you move these files to the cloud. There is an inbuilt feature in the Office 365 which will help you to move or import PST files to cloud, but also you can use some other third-party providers. The other option you have is restoring all archived emails you have so far back to Exchange. So basically, you will have full emails sitting on your Exchange, and then you would migrate, the regular way you would migrate it without having any archive data. As I mentioned before, the Office 365 has inbuilt feature for this, and also our Archive Manager, Archive Migrator tool can help you as well. And the third way for the moving data to cloud, it's would be using an Archive Migrator tool to migrate shortcuts. Basically, you can move shortcuts rather than full emails to the cloud, and this will take some less time to do, and more convenient for the administrator to take the current archive and just moving it to cloud in one space, in one step, without any specific issues he need to face. There are few software providers which we support. I mean, archive software. So, for example, with the Archive Migrator tool, you're able to move shortcuts from Symantec Enterprise Vault extender, then HP product called IAP/RIIS, and Xantas or GFI. So there are GFI. So there are multiple software vendors which we support with archiving, with moving shortcuts to the cloud. Well, I have just few remarks I'd like to mention on this topic as general, and that would be one of the things is that Office 365 does not support or the journaling feature. So it was, and I believe it still is, very interesting feature for the admin, to have, even for the backup perspective, or sort of safety, or some other reason he might have to have for that. So it's a good feature, and if you want to stay, or if you want to keep using this feature and still be in the cloud, you will have to have, you will have to have Exchange server running on premise, and at the same time as having data in the cloud, because of mapping connection that is being done to the Exchange server. Also, Sometimes you can get a complaint from the user that cloud is slow and working with the data is slow and it takes time to open and it takes time to do whatever. It's a sort of common behavior from the user. Well, we have to admit this is a technology limitation. There is not much we can do. I can tell it's not that bad. I mean, all the network settings and throughput and bandwidth, and these things are set up correctly. It doesn't take so long, but yes, it may take longer than users are used to. The reason why basically is that each time you access or going to cloud, you're basically taking out data from somewhere from the cloud, and you are either downloading those or caching to your local machine or PC. So this will take some time, and also there are many other technologies which are very different from what we've been used so far. So we just have to live with that. And well, I also already mentioned that with Archive, with Metalogix Archive Migrated 2, we are able to migrate third-party vendors archive software to the cloud, which can ease your life. So that would be all for my side for now, and I'm ready for your questions. Okay, are there any questions, or can I quit this meeting for now? All right, thank you for your time today. Have a nice day.